Good evening and welcome to Talking Dogs on a Monday. Of course, I'm joined as always by the exile dub Tommy Lyons, and as a special treat this week, we have Mike Flaherty all the way from his County Kerry base. Mike, great to see you. It's been a while.
Morning, and yeah, busy during the summer, but back into winter mode now. Looking forward to hopefully doing a few more
I must
podcasts.
say the kitchen behind you looks like a well used kitchen. I like the knife rack on the over your right shoulder.
And many moons ago, I was at catering college for a couple of years, so I can work my way around the kitchen a little bit.
You hear that, Tommy? He just said when we come down next year for the final of the Juvenile Classic, he's going to make us dinner. That's nice.
I do barbecue or something, yeah.
Tommy, you're not much of a
gentlemen.
cook. Tommy, you're not much of a
Thanks,
cook.
Ian. Sure, I don't have to be like. If I was under pressure, I could figure it out. All right.
There were a few dogs cooking in Limerick over the weekend because the willwego.com Irish St. Ledger continued. We had four wonderful quarterfinals. We will get to the two semi-finals, Tommy, which are ridiculous in terms of strength.
One of my 7 report tomorrow, it could be a derby final. Never mind the Ledger semi-final. It's that good. It's that deep. It might, it's but at this stage, I think the overall quality is so good. It was impossible that it was going to be anything much different. Like he would have been very lucky to divide them in half, evenly, and have two remarkable semi-finals. You could have had it, but it would have been difficult. We've seen it a lot. We talk about it a lot. How there's an imbalance in semi-finals. The only thing is, I don't think the other semi-finals particularly bad. It's just in the shade of one exceptional race.
Yeah, no question about it. Mike, Swords Rex, a dog we're all familiar with at this stage. He fluffed his lines in the opening round, got no sort of run, but my God, he's been absolutely foot perfect since then. And he set the standard. But, Clonbrine Treacy said, hold my beer. And he almost matched him. And the fact that the two of them will meet next week is a real, teaser for us. But, what can you say about Swords Rex? He's been there, done that, dual classic winner already. With a little bit of luck in his side, he could be a 4-time classic winner at this point.
Yeah, I'd imagine his favourites back it now. To me, I think it's still personally, it's wide open. It's got to be one of I think if you put the Derby ahead of it, obviously, but it's got to be one of the hardest classics to win the Ledger. I mean, it's been going since I think I was doing a bit of stats there. It's the 88th running. It's one of the original classics, so it's a really good one to win. Sword Rex Clonbrine Treaty obviously loves Limerick, so I haven't seen the betting yet. I don't know if there's any prices up yet, but Swords Rex was fastest time of the night, fastest sectional of the night, 17:05. It seems all the greyhounds improved their sectionals to the third bend, but not necessarily on the final clocking on Saturday night. I don't know what you'd read into that. I think it's wide open. We haven't done very well in it over the years. The Kerry dogs, Chris Houlihan won it in 2012, and I think the great Ballymaccanton won it. And we've only got 2 left. We've got one Kerry dog owned left, Bobsleigh Dream, obviously, and Jack Kennelly's got Beeper's Lariat, but that's as much as I can do with the green and yellow flag for Kerry for the Ledger. So that's the last thing.
It's hard to hear him, Tommy, through his thick Kerry accent there, isn't it?
It's confused me.
Tommy, Swords Rex. I was talking to Barbara and Leonard Lyons on Saturday night at Shelbourne Park. They're waiting for you. They want to get hold of you. But I think at this stage it's a case of I think we think Swords Rex is back to his best, and by all accounts he is the one to beat.
Well, yes, in the sense that he's running brilliantly. There are concerns. He did the exact same thing in Toaster, but I'd be inclined to blame Toaster for that rather than the dog himself not producing in the final. I kind of give him a pass on that. Yeah, look, if he wins it, if he wins it, I'm quite happy. When a dog that good wins any competition, you're happy to celebrate it because he's a class act. But there's like Mike said it, this is still wide open.
Yeah,
and I tell you what makes. I don't. Maybe we'll wait later on. Wait till we get talking about the semi-finals. We'll talk about why it'll be difficult. But look, I mean, I thought he wouldn't win this. I still not certain he would, and I wouldn't be taking the sharp prices about him. But I've never doubted that he's a phenomenal dog, like one of the best we've seen for years. Yeah. It's a pity. It's a pity there isn't an English Derby in there or an Irish Derby in there for him. Whatever happened with the Irish Derby, it just didn't happen for him.
Yeah.
In 2 years, where an English Derby, he was just diabolically unlucky because he was phenomenal right through the competition until the final. And as I said to you, I give him a pass on that.
Yeah, this year's Irish Derby challenge, like it was just over before it began. That stumble in the first round, and then of course last year's Irish Derby, he just wasn't right in himself. You know, there's no question. He
Yeah,
just wasn't right himself. They were rushing him back after a bit of a problem. A 29:20 trial prior to the competition would suggest it. And then again, Derby final night, he does one of the fastest runs we've ever seen at Shelbourne Park for 5.25 yards. Just again, it was just bad timing and on the part of I suppose the dog more so than anything else in terms of.
It'd be fascinating to see him make.
Sorry, it's Mike.
Would you like to see a middle seed on him?
I've always said I liked him in the white, but if you actually look at his record in the red jacket, it's ridiculous. Like it's absolutely ridiculous. Do you know what I mean? But he's won from. I'm just looking through his card here. Like, has he won from trap 6? He certainly won from every other box.
Yeah.
You know, he has. I think he's only raced once from trap 6, and on that occasion, that's in the final of a Laurels. He's beaten 3 parts of length of the head. As an inside seed in one of the most, Tommy will tell you, one of the most stacked Laurels finals of all time. It was an unbelievable Laurels final.
They did straight the other day, coming out of traps, didn't move, didn't deviate at all. So I'd love to see in the middle every night if I was his owners or trainer.
The thing about him is he tends straight. He goes dead straight from every trap, really. You know what I mean? That's why we weren't all that concerned about his English Derby final trap. But as it happens, just there was a bit of movement in the box. He's missed the kick, and all of a sudden, the doors are closed on him, and that's what happened on that night. But no, his record it's simply stunning. You know, all traps, all tracks, all competitions. He's just an incredible greyhound. Let's get into the heats themselves. We'll start with the opening heat. It's a great way to start. Mr. Chelm, you know, a dog with plenty of back form himself, an English Derby runner-up, Derby plate winner, and here he is, Mikey's. Excuse me. Back to something close to his best. Of course, it was Limerick, and where he sort of made his name first. He went into the Kirby Memorial as an unraced greyhound in 2022, made the final, straight out the English Derby, and was sold towards the back end of the year. Went to England and sort of lost his way for a while, but now that he's back with Peter Cronin, this dog has been flying.
Yeah, he's impressive. This dog was Kildare, isn't it? It was formerly known as Kildare. And if you look at all the results, apart from this one, it could have been quite an easy Yankee to actually knock up. If you look at the results, this one might be a little bit of a surprise. Very workmanlike, came out of the boxes, and slight improvement on the cart. Hit the front at the second bend, and never looked like getting caught there. Really, I mean, he's got an incredible strike rate. Right? He's got a better than 50% strike rate now after 28 runs, 15 wins, and most of them in top class. Company as well. No, I was impressed. Another holiday. Don't know. I backed him to win the Derby after that first round. I backed him before the first round, actually. I was sitting on quite a nice anti-post bet, but then what happened there? And you got to say, slightly disappointing again. He's Mr. Chelm's a decent greyhound, but I thought another holiday. He's got to be a bit of other.
He's never won two in a row over 550. Both his wins over the 550-yard trip came in the opening round of the Derby and the Ledger. You just wonder, is it taking a little bit out of him? I just didn't feel he drove the corner. I thought he left himself. He left himself be sort of passed on the outside by Mr. Chelm pretty easily. Yeah. We did mention in the opening round that he didn't quite drive the opening corner either. Sort of shied away from a greyhound, and like he's still there and he's still a big player because of his early speed. But if he's not driving the corner, just given the company he's in, you're going to struggle to see him going around in front, and he's going to need to go around in front because 550 does stretch him.
He might be a dog that needs to be moved around to different tracks, maybe not a competition dog, which I know it sounds a bit unfair, but I think there are greyhounds that are like that. Ryhope Beach, again, lacked a bit of early pace into the bend. But then again, started to power home from halfway, so obviously I'd imagine his future is the 600. Is that coming up soon?
You'd think so. We've led the campaign. We've led the campaign. Tommy, Mr. Chelm, a dog who, listen, there's no questioning his record, certainly in Ireland. He does have a 29-21 in his card in Shelbourne Park, but I was about to say something along the lines of he always runs well over the 550-yard trip, but has never done a massive clock. But yet he has 29-21 in Shelbourne Park, so that sort of blows that one out of the water. But just the talented greyhound, has great all-round pace, a real all-rounder. There are dogs go up faster, the dogs go down the back straight faster, and certainly dogs stay home better. But he just does everything well.
I wouldn't think there's that many to go down the back straight faster than him. He's I think it's better than the clock. I think that run is better than the 29-60. I like the way he tracked around another holiday. I look at another holiday probably had the most bearing on the result of the race. He kind of veered in a little bit on top of Sober Glory at the bend. He just doesn't drive on, as you said, he doesn't drive through the bend. If he did another holiday, he would have won that heat because he'd been in front of Mr. Chelm or beside him going out the second bend, and he'd have matched him down the back and probably beaten him. You know what I mean? Because he has the ability.
If
He
he'd
just
driven the
needs to
opening, if
drive
he'd
on.
driven the opening corner, Sober Glory might have won it. You know, like he's not going to be
No,
far away either.
Sober Glory, Sober Glory's a really good dog, right? But he's very one paced, isn't he? And
It's just,
he,
it's a relentless gallop rather than
no,
anything.
it's a bloody high pace. Like, don't get me wrong, but what I'm saying is, he finished second without ever looking like he was going to win.
Do you know what dog he
And
reminds me of, Tommy?
go on. Oh Jesus, stop with you.
What's his
Anyway,
name? What's his name?
we'll move
What's his name?
I can't remember.
Mal Brandy. Mal
Mal
Brandy.
Brandy.
Tommy.
No, no, come on now. Don't be putting down pro Mal Brandy. Now, so look, it's over Glory. Like, he's beaten length and a half in a heated quarter final of the Ledger, and he never looked like winning it, and he broke perfectly well. He lacked, as you have, and I've talked about, he lacks that extra little injection into the bend where you need it to which will be the difference in winning and losing a lot of races. He ran a fine race, and on the clock, he's doing 29.70. He's capable of taking 30 or 40 spots off that. There's no question about that.
Slightly crowded at the first bend. I got slightly crowded at the first bend. Just took a slight touch.
Extremely slightly crowded. Again, it's another holiday coming in across them a little bit.
Yeah.
And actually, because they probably did touch to some degree, that allowed Mr. Chelm drive around the outside, take the lead. Mr. Chelm is a fast dog down the back. Another holiday all but matched him in terms of, if you stop him early second bend to third bend, to say there wasn't much between them in terms of how fast they went down the back straight. Another holiday he'd probably bring down the bank in Nova Scotia. He's that type of dog, like, isn't he? Like, he you know, because we both know that the ability is there that he could win a classic. Like Mike thought he could win a Derby.
You could say the same for his
possibly win a Ledger.
You could say the same for his Kennel Canyon, just behind him in third, in fourth.
Well,
nobody'd be surprised if he popped out on next Saturday night and did 29.40.
Yeah. Yeah, that's 100% with you on that one. Absolutely 100% with you on that one, because that's the type of dog he is. Yeah. Ability-wise, he can do it. Mr. Chelm, I think Mr. Chelm is stepping forward with each run. I think this is another little, it's not a huge step forward, but it's another step forward, and he's still a player.
Yeah, he's still a player, no question about it. I see still down to Lee Harris, who was trying to sell him. Are we right in saying about a week and a half ago, prior to last week's run? You know, I think they were asking too much for a dog of his age, but it's interesting that he's there now again in the semi-finals of a classic. If there won't be interest or not, or whether they've withdrawn the offer to sell him. So Mr. Chelm beats Sober Glory, another holiday in Rye Hope Beach. That's the way it finished. Rye Hope Beach is the dog that loses out in fourth spot. But I think it's probably right to say that the right three dogs went through. The betting would suggest they were the right three dogs. Glengar Elvis didn't get a flyer. He needed a flyer. He just couldn't match them into the opening corner. That's going to be his problem going forward. He probably needs 600 yards against different types of dogs. I think the same can certainly be said for Rye Hope Beach. We've touched on that in the past. But no, three fantastic greyhounds going through. And just looking at the clocks, as you said, the first clock, excuse me, unprepared here. It's worth pointing out another holiday does a 5:36. Mr. Chelm does a 17:29. He's coming home in 12:31 on the 29:60. How that compares to the next heat, we'll move on to the second race where Swords Rex does a 5:21. You know, like that's a full 15 spots faster than another holiday into the opening corner. Just 17:05 to the third bend. Again, it's over 3 lengths faster than Mr. Chelm. And 12:30, he comes home in a spot faster to record 29:35. Mike, it was just, as you said, a thoroughly professional display. This was over after a single stride.
Yeah, as I mentioned a couple of minutes ago, the improvement in the sectionals on Swords Rex and Clombine Tree. In the second round, Swords Rex did 5:33 to the first split. Last Saturday night did 5:21. Now, that much of an improvement over that short a distance is incredible. The pace from the trap rise to the first section and the first bend is phenomenal by Swords Rex, and equally so by Clombine Tree. He's not far behind him on the clock. Fantastic greyhound. What more can you say? I think he's ideally placed in the middle. I haven't seen the trap draw. Did he get what did he get in the? Okay, that's. I mean, as you said earlier on, he's one from everywhere. I wouldn't be that concerned. But I'd love to see him in the middle, right through. Fantastic greyhound. Second place at Beeper's Lariat. Just early pace, every chance really. He's only 3/4 lengths behind him at the first split, but never really challenged. It wasn't going to get close to him, was it? As soon as they hit the back straight. And Balanavula Una caused a little bit of trouble at the first bench. She actually moved out and bumped into the 5 dog who was unlucky, Nomadic Nova, who was in quite a good position at the first bend and then was unlucky. But Balanavula Una, we mentioned in the podcast last week, just keeps on qualifying, shows great determination, probably, did really well to claim that third qualifying spot.
She's very strong. She's one that's certainly going to relish stepping into her own company, into bitch company, you'd imagine her power will be very telling in bitch company. But getting back to Swords Rex, so impressive, Tommy, from the front. Mike alluded to the fact that he was a 5:33 and now a 5:21. This was because he really hit the ground running. There was no wasted stride here. He was just gone. I think it was nearly a career best effort from Beepers Lariat in second.
Well, I'd say it was. I thought it ran a hell of a race because you've got a dog of Swords Rex's caliber in front of you. And like he's within about, say, about 3/4 of a length, maybe about 25 yards from the first bend. It's from there around the first bend that Swords Rex goes from 3 parts length up to about 3 lengths up. That was kind of tremendously impressive. Maybe Beepers Lariat lost a little bit there, but I thought actually the runner up ran a cracking race. But like when Swords Rex does that, he's next to near impossible to beat because of that ability. Like he's damn close to it. Ballinabola Una ran well. Might be slightly harsh. He's saying Ballinabola Una came off. I blame Nomadic Nova for coming in yet again. First bend.
Yeah,
I don't know what he wants. Yeah, I don't know what that
he could be a dog that just comes and goes and doesn't win anything, because that first 2 strides are an issue for him, Tommy. He's after missing the kick again. He's paced up. There's no question. He has all sorts of boots in Nomadic Nova, but unless he finds his trapping boots, it's going to be working out to him. He was in a lovely position going into the bend. As you said, he edged in. Listen, if he clears Ballinabola Una, he qualifies comfortably in third, I would suggest, and maybe is right on the sort of maybe even second. You know what I mean? He is that sort of pace. He could have picked up Beepers Lariat, but he's going to be frustrating to follow unless he finds his trapping boots. But you can't take it away from Ballinabola Una. She still forced her way around that open corner. Yes, she caused a bit of traffic on her outside as well as Nomadic Nova cutting in, but she still had to work hard to beat the likes of Deadly Style for third spot. She did so well.
I think actually, Nomadic Nova was so unlucky from the second bend home because the 2 dogs were in front of him, Deadly Style and Ballinabola Una, and he was kind of caught in the middle ground between them and couldn't find a gap going down to the third bend, and he might have qualified. No, it would have been a fair performance if he had qualified because they're stayers, and Ballinabola Una particularly is a very strong stayer that we've talked about what she might do next year. I was encouraged by her run because she didn't break as well as she did in previous rounds, and we know that's not really. She can break reasonably well. She's not going to have the early pace of Swords Rex at any stage of her career. That's just not going to be part of it. But she can definitely improve a little bit, and there were signs of it early in the competition. As I say, it's senior hurling now, and that you just get that bit tougher. You don't get away with much. You know what I mean? So she was going to be found out in that sense. So I was just encouraged by the way she ran on. Like Deadly Style ran a super race. Nomadic Nova was. You can kind of understand to a degree why Nomadic Nova attracted so much support before the competition, because you can see all sorts of raw ability there. But
I'd say he's catching pigeons at home, shall we say?
I would say so. And you put him into a solo, I'd say he'd do something special.
I'd like to mention Beepers Lariat's trainer Jack Kennelly in a short career is making really, really good moves. He's got a really strong kennel down here, and that was a career best performance. But
what I like about Jack's career thus far is, like, obviously he has some nice dogs around him and whatnot, and he took on the likes of the English Derby, but there's a real consistency to his dogs, a real consistency of performance to them. You know what I mean? It's not a case that they blow hot and cold. Like they generally, you've given the right trap and the right sort of conditions in terms of trip, they'll run their race. You know what I mean? He's obviously a very talented young trainer. Beepers Lariat is just one of those dogs where, like, he'll compete in all the best competitions, but he may not win one, but he'll always be thereabouts. And
Strapping Greyhound as well, 81 pounds. He can go into a bend and take a bump.
Yeah, a member of very fast hitter, actually. Doobie Sydney, beaming smasher. Anything else to be said about the heat, Tommy?
I do hope and it's off heat a little bit, but I do hope that new Swords Rex gets a proper chance at stud from as soon as he retires, whenever that will be, because he's shown all sorts of qualities, and if he can pass on some of that, I would love to see what his progeny might do. We're kind of going into an era where there might be a gap in the market for a sire to come through, and I just wonder could he be it? He has everything. He stays well. He's shown he can come back from setbacks in his career. He's shown immense ability at all sorts of levels. I'd just be interested to see will he be able to impart it. I suspect he will, because at times, and when I'm talking about at times, I'm really talking about particularly thinking about that run through the early stages of the English Derby. At times it looks effortless to him.
Being,
Yeah, I
not,
just love.
I wouldn't know much about the breeding scene, Ian and Tommy, but being by Droopy's Sydney, would that, I know obviously Droopy's Sydney, one of the greatest modern day sides at the moment, but how many bitches aren't going to be related to that bloodline? Would it be hard being a Droopy's Sydney stud dog?
To a point, but like there's still plenty of bloodlines out there,
Yeah.
and like if you like like there's a lot of people going to Duppy Sydney. You know what I mean? Now he's retired. All of a sudden, in 6 months' time or whatever, like this could be like I would imagine Swords Rex, whether he runs a winter racing festival or not, but I'd say we're towards the last 2 to 3 races of his career here.
Really?
That's how talented he's been, and
Yeah.
I don't think he's anything to prove. But if you actually look now, and it's only that you said it, Tommy, I took a look at Starry Display on the dam side. Like she goes back to like her breeding's unbelievable. Like she's a daughter of Drubby's Kane out of Star Spree who goes back to Wise Winner, Wise Plan, Wise Memory, like the great Pat Dalton breedings, like some of the best pedigree you could ever imagine. And like Drubby's Kane goes back to Drubby's Laramie, Drubby's Sporty, like so an unbelievable pedigree. Swords Rex to back up his ability. I would imagine there's already been sort of moves made behind the scenes of who's going to get him and who wants him at stud. Have no fear. I would imagine that's been thought about. I tend to agree with you. It's not something I generally think about until they're retired, but he is certainly one that you can imagine breeders would be very comfortable in going to.
Yeah, there's an effortless nature about it, and like it obviously doesn't always go the impact that ability or whatever. But there's something about him. I'd be amazed. I'd be amazed if somewhere along the line it wasn't something sensational by Sword Rex. I just hope, as I said, yeah, I hope he gets the opportunity.
Yeah, no, I tend to agree. Let's move on to the third heat and our great pal, Bobsleigh Dream. Bobsleigh Dream. Like, what can you say about Bobsleigh Dream? She's like Usain Bolt in the opening round of the Olympics. I'll win this in 10:20. I know I can do 9:50, but I'm going to win it in 10:20. I'll get to the front and I'll just look around me, jog around and go, I've done enough. Lovely hurling. Trinity Junior is a champion stakes winner. He's an absolutely world-class greyhound. He was a finalist in last year's Juvenile Derby and last year's Ledger. He is amongst the top few greyhounds in the country. He led early. Everything was going right for him. But Bobsleigh Dream is fourth into the bend. And when Dramano Dano and Music glide away, there's a bit of a squeeze there, and she just slips onto the fence. And it's a case of, when will I pass him? I'll get by him halfway. I'll go a couple of lengths in front. And I've just written coast home on my card. That's all I wrote. Like, there was no need for her to power up the home straight. She just coasted home. Like, she's the slowest home of the 4 heat winners.
Yeah, I've got the top.
That's ridiculous. Like the slowest home of the 4 heat winners, but that's purely because she got there so early. Like, I'd say if it was the one Trinity Junior was doing 29:20, she'd have done 29:15. She's just remarkable. What can you say about her, Mike, that hasn't been said?
I've got on the top of the third semi-final here on the top of the race, so I've got no hard luck stories here. I mean, she actually moved slightly inwards towards the rails at the start and got away with that. But the track craft she showed at the opening bend, now it did open up for a little bit. The camera got a bit shaky. You can't actually see it on the replay. But, she actually shoots through a little gap. And then, as you said, it was just a matter of time before she took up the running.
I think the cameraman must have had her backed and just saw her go through the gap and just got excited.
But 9 to 4 looks big now, doesn't it? 9 to 4 looks big now.
Well, what did I say, Tommy, last week? That I couldn't separate the pair, and it'll be a neck either way. I got that wrong, but like
massive price. I thought I couldn't believe it.
That's a huge price. 9 to 4. Like
Trinity Junior, another greyhound who improved 10 spots on the first section on 5:34 compared to the second round 5:44. Didn't look like he was ever going to hold off Bobsleigh Dream. Bobsleigh Dream's got the 5:70 clock in my place down in Chile, so I mean she'll stay till Christmas. But very encouraging again for Trinity Junior. Nice greyhound.
Yeah, Tommy, Bobsleigh Dream.
Funny enough that she tracked so well at the first bend that she moved into second place, and like down the back straight she just took off, and the race was over before the third bend, and then she decided, well, come on now, what's the point in expending all this energy now I'm in front of it? So she just decided enough is enough. Like Trinity Junior, it looks like Trinity Junior is coming back. I actually was encouraged by the run of Music glide away. And very encouraged.
Very encouraged. He got good running to get around Dramana Dano, and was very close to challenging. He was challenging Trinity Junior on the opening corner. With a little bit of a better run on the opening corner, he could well have been sort of upsides, if not in front of Trinity Junior, into the back straight.
Well, he produced a huge performance in the semi-final of the Derby, so I just wonder will he produce another one now come this Saturday night. It's not beyond the bounds of possibility, and maybe that set him up for you just wouldn't know what way the final might look after Saturday night. I was encouraged by that, but Bob's Dream is just great to watch. To be honest, I didn't look at. I had glanced during the week a couple of times for prices in the semi-finals. I didn't see them. I'd say the only place you might get them would be Berkey Brown, the betbrown.com website. Maybe they tend they're obviously on track, and I would say they tend to be maybe up in prices like that. But I didn't realize that she was going to be that big because I did think she'd win. I thought the makeup was perfect. I know a lot of people were thinking, "Oh, Trinity Junior's in one. She's an excellent dog out of trap one." But to me, that was only a beautiful way of setting the race up for target for Bob's Dream.
Yeah.
She's
two wides left as well.
Yeah, Music Glide Away. Yeah, one or two wides.
You might look at it and go, oh, she's stuck around it. Her clock is stuck around that sort of time. She's not going to win a Ledger again. But like, I just never forget the performance in last year's final.
Yeah, I don't think, like, she's had 58 starts or 55 starts now. You know, they tell, oh, don't over race them if you're going to breed them down the line and whatnot. I don't think this lady has ever really taken that much out of herself. Like, I'd say she came off the track without a breath. You know, I would say this is like a little walk in the park for her. And genuinely, I do think if Trinity Junior was between 29-20 off the bunny, off the, you know, and she got the run off the second bend like she did the other night, whether he's 5 lengths behind her or 2 lengths in front of her, like, I think she's going to pick him up. I just think that's the way she is. You know what I mean? I think she has that sort of knowledge and just the ability to get there.
She definitely dabbed the brakes last week and again this week. Like,
yeah.
Once she hit the front, there was enough. Thank you. And there was no concern whatsoever that she's doing that untoward. She's not like she's just.
No, she's not. She just knows.
She just learned quite a lot over the course of her 55 races. She learned quite a bit about greyhound racing. She could tell us.
She's a bit like us, lads. She's a bit like us. She doesn't do an awful lot more than she needs to. You know what I mean?
She's a proven competition dog, though. I mean, the Zaris Ledger. You know, you could race her twice a week, every week. I'd say you're still going to get the same out of her. She's brilliant.
Well, she had a 50% record going into Saturday night. Now she's over the 50%, be it only by a couple of spots, but whatnot. Yeah. It's just remarkable for a bitch that has, 55 starts. She's won over half of them. Like, that's incredible. And 13 times second. You know what I mean? When you consider the traffic that she has found in some races, her record is unbelievable. Trinity Junior runs. Go ahead, Tommy.
She'd be a bitch that would frustrate the life out of you if she didn't win. If she hadn't won the Ledger, say, or because you'd say, oh God, the ability's there, and she's not doing that with it. She did it with it last year. She has done it. She can do it.
What did she get in the semi-final?
Doesn't matter. She's in trap 3 in the hot semi-final. Don't worry, we'll get to it, Mike. Mike's chomping at the bit, Tommy.
Lyons tells us going to win this Ledger.
It is worth mentioning that Swords Rex isn't the only dual classic winner, because Bobsleigh Dream has 2 classics. She's won the Ledger and the Cesarewitch, and again, she's a big player. Music Glide Away back in third. Dramana Dano went out, but again ran a big race in defeat. Tommy, it was just great to see Garrett O'Brien with a good dog. You really like to see him with another superstar down the line. Obviously, Dramana Bucko has made a promising start to his career. He had him early, was forced to sell a dog that good. You sort of have no real option, but it'd be great to see him with a good dog. He can certainly do one.
I think it'll happen because they do it the right way. To go and search for those right dogs and invest properly to try to get them. So I'd say it'll happen again in time. All right, he's handled Dramana Dano well, and it's only a matter of time.
Yeah. Let's get back to another straightforward heat, because heat 4 was won by Clonbrine Treaty. Oh my God, if he could always trap like this, he would just be unbelievable. 5:26, 17:04, 29:38. Clonbrine Treaty was in front after a matter of 3 or 4 strides. Churchtown Sid went up well to turn second, and that was that. Gaytime Hugh eventually came home to pip him for second spot. Said a half length. I didn't think it was half length, and I tried to freeze it a couple of times, and it probably is close to half length. It's hard. It's a deceiving angle down in Limerick, I think. A lot of the photo finishes look closer than they actually are. I think it's you sort of get used to the angle in Shelbourne, and everything sort of goes off that. But Limerick is a slightly more deceptive angle. But no, Clonbrine Treaty wins 5 lengths, 29:38. Tommy, this was him at his very best.
I hate the idea that he's just a Limerick dog. I really, it doesn't sit comfortably with me at all, because if you can break, like, if you can.
He's not doing much to break your argument, though.
No, he's not. No, but I'm saying he's not. No, because, but I like to think that something must have gone wrong after his Kirby win. He just didn't seem the same dog at all. And yeah, some tracks might be tight. Clonmel might be tight, too tight from whatever else. But I mean, if a dog of that ability can produce that in Shelbourne Park, I mean, there's nothing about Shelbourne Park and in comparison to Limerick that should say, oh no, Limerick will definitely suit this dog more. A dog with explosive early speed should be able to cope with any track. And like he broke
it is worth pointing out, like he has 2 or 3 very good wins in Shelbourne, but
yeah,
every time he's left himself so much work to do that he's got to the front and it's looked more workmanlike than whatnot. Like if he was trapping like this in Shelbourne Park, he'd be done 29-20 for fun.
that's what I'm saying. This is why I can't go along with him just being dog. Like there are different types of dogs who have quirks and who go wide here and do this here or go too tight at bends or something. And you say, okay, this track will suit and this track won't suit. This is just a bloody good early pacer. He's actually, in fact, he's explosive early pace. That should go anywhere. And like I doubt it's a trap mechanism. If he was to run in Shelbourne Park now, come away from the Leisure and go to Shelbourne for 5 weeks in a row, I'm sure by the time we got to the 5th race, he'd be able to trap and do something utterly explosive because his pace into the bend is just insane. Like Gaytime Hugo's a fair dog, he broke perfectly well. Churchtown Sid is a fair dog, broke perfectly well. This fella absolutely left them for dead. Like this is joyous to have to watch this sort of stuff, that sort of racing. Problem being that like we don't know if he'll break like that next week, and we also don't know that if there was a dog up inside him,
he wouldn't swing wider.
That would he hang up on the third bend, or what would he do, or would he swing wider, or would he drive it? What would he do? We just don't know that. Like for bobsleigh Sid, as I said earlier, but heat earlier on, like it's senior hurling now. Like you know what I mean, this is stepping up into the big leagues, and Clonmel Treaty has it in the big leagues. We've seen it before, so. I mean, Bob said Sid missed it, and actually, in fairness and credit to the dog, he tried his best to show pace into the bend, and he just had left himself too much to do in a quality field. But like it was all about one dog, Clonbrien Treaty, and that's another big step forward for him in this Leisure.
Yeah, Mike, he's he's a Limerick dog and whatnot. That's the question. But he's now won 7 of his last 8 starts at Limerick.
And he hasn't been led. He hasn't been led in his last 4 runs.
Well, he hasn't been led from the corner. Like he was led in the first 50 strides for a few of them, but again, he gets there off the corner.
He's only half a length behind Swords Rex on Saturday night sectionals, the first split. And again, I mentioned it earlier, but being a wide seed is going to be in his massive favour going into the next Saturday. He's a class act. I mean, it was over by 10 strides. Nothing was going to come behind him.
I'd have said one stride too, because once he's that close after the stride, there's nothing can take.
Nearly kind of ruined the race. He's a dog that he runs kind of middle to wide, but he absolutely rails at the bends. He shot straight in at the bend, and Gaytime Hugo was slightly unlucky, but did really well to qualify after that. Just avoided trap 5. He kind of cut across him. That kind of cut him a few lengths. He wasn't going to catch the leader, but Gaytime Hugo showed brilliant pace from halfway just to get up. I
was slagging that. I was talking, as I said earlier on, to Leonard Lyons after racing at Shelbourne Park on Saturday night. He was standing beside the pillar, the famous pillar, which is named the Pillar Syndicate and whatnot. Now they don't have runners in the Leisure, but they used to own Churchtown Sid. And I said, well, lads, you had one, you sold them. You know what I mean? You could be there in the semi-finals of Leisure alongside Leonard. They said, no, best luck to the boys that own him now. And he said he's running great for them. And they're right, Gaytime Hugo, so strong. He is vulnerable when the dog like that cuts off, because he just doesn't have the early speed to get into the contention. But by God, he's a powerful performer. Trap 1 was certainly in his favour the other evening. It didn't happen for the other 3. We all know why. It was just that bit of crowding in behind. And then there was 12, as they say. So let's take
it's such a good 12. Any one of them, you wouldn't be surprised to win it.
No, you wouldn't be. Let's take a look at the 12, right? The first heat, Swords Rex, Gaytime Hugo, Bobsleigh Dream, Balnabola Una, another Holiday Clonbrine Treaty. Tommy said it earlier on, it would be worthy of a Derby final itself, or a Leisure final indeed. Heat 2, Beepers Lariat, Mr. Chelm, Sober Glory, Trinity Junior, Churchtown Sid and Music Lightaway. Like another top class 6 greyhounds. 2 wonderful semi-finals, Mike, and so much is going to come down to the draw in the final. Now, obviously, you're going to have to progress this weekend, which is not easy. Certainly, if you have a dog in the first heat, it's certainly not easy. And even second heat, it's just packed with quality. Like, it's all about progression this week. Any one of the 12 sets of connections would take a 3rd place finish off you right now on Saturday night. and then hope for a kind draw the following week.
Yeah, you just really want to kind of get through to the following Saturday. I haven't seen the draw. I couldn't find it anywhere online, but it sounds like that the first semi-final is going to be all about the break. There's a lot of early pace there, isn't there? So Swords Rex out of one could bang clear into the bend, and this hopefully, that looks like a very, very hot heat, like you said, worthy of any final. But I'm really looking forward to the two semi-finals. The first one sounds very, very hot.
Taking a picture of Mike and send it to you there now, right?
Thanks.
Modern technology and all that. Tommy, talk to me about the first heat.
Okay, very interesting, and this is fascinating. This is where well, obviously anything can happen, but like it's. I was looking up something caught was in my head the other day about this yesterday when I was looking at it. Things are kind of funny with Swords Rex and Trap One, right? If you look at statistics I'm just looking using Greyhound data, right, for statistics on Trap One in Limerick, right? 22% in 2023, 22% of winners are out of Trap One, right? That's obviously the biggest, right? Then you go and you change that and you go just 525-yard races, and there's 856 full races. That goes up to 24%, right? 24% winners out of Trap One. Go to 550-yard races, 86 full field races. It drops to 9%.
Wow.
For 550-yard races. Now, 2 and 3 is the trap you want to be in, 25%. 20. Now it's slightly skewed because it's 86 full field 80 full field races, and so far I calculate I think 25 of them have been ledgers, open class races. So they can be kind of skewed because you can have a dog that's vastly superior. If you're having graded races, it tends to work a little bit better, I would think, on the statistics. But it drops to 9%. There have been 2 winners out of Trap One in the ledger so far. One of them was Swords Rex when he did 29, 27 or whatever. He obviously can deal with it, right? But this is a much tougher heat to be dealing with that, if you know what I mean. So all of a sudden, if he misses slightly because it's a difficult trap or whatever, and he misses half a length, he's got Gaytime Hugo. Okay, he's not going to be going in. Bobsleigh Dream will be going in. Ballabuna might go in. Another Holiday will certainly be going in when he gets out. And then you'll have Clonbrine Treaty trying to sweep around the outside and kick on clear. Like, it's a much different race than people think. You might look and go, Swords Rex, he's ideally drawn Trap One. He should pop out and make all. But when you look at statistics, you say, Jesus, Trap One is actually quite difficult. It's actually by far the next worst is Trap Four, which is 13%. I mean, it's like 80.
Looks really ideally drawn in the first with what's inside him there.
Yeah, he certainly is, because another Holiday won't be coming out or staying out. He'll be going inside. Ballambula Una doesn't have the early pace. Bobsleigh Dream can go up, not to the same level as Clonbrine Treaty has. He has a great draw. I can see myself siding with him on that, just on the basis of, because I do think Swords Rex will have to be clear favourite. I think the bookmakers will make Swords Rex. You can't. How can you not? Because I mean, if you push him to a certain price, he can win out of Trap One, albeit in a race that certainly wasn't as deep as this. He can win. He's setting the standard so far. To my mind, there isn't as much between him as people might think.
I think it'll be closer today.
I'm going to put a few things to you now, right? Firstly, you said 80. It drops down to what, 80 odd races. Or 88 races for the 550. As you said, many of them are ledger fields, okay? Where we're looking at the seedings. Like, there's no question that there's an awful lot of tactical seeding goes into a ledger. And how often have we probably seen dogs in Trap One that don't want to be in Trap One? I think it's too small a base to sort of. Yeah, I think it is too small a base because of the nature of like the likes of a ledger. There is a perception that when you go down to Limerick and you're an inside seed or a wide seed, you've little or no chance. Now that's proven incorrect. Certainly, if you have a true wide seed in this year's ledger, you're in a good position. You look at the numbers for the 525. That's for all grades, all grading, whatnot. And these are dogs that are dizzy going around Limerick, and Trap One would obviously be the place to be then. Swords Rex, I think you find that there are dogs that are specialized inside runners. Like Swords Rex, as we've said earlier on, will probably run from any trap, but it is worth pointing out that he has 27 career victories? 27 career victories.
Yeah.
12 of them came when wearing the red jacket. So I wouldn't be too concerned. In fact, I'd be absolutely zero concerned. If I was to pick a spot for Swords Rex to be, it would be Trap One. Certainly in this heat, it would be Trap One. That's where I want him to be. And I think he's going to go bingo. And then much depends on whether Clonbrine Treaty can match his start from the other night. Because if he doesn't, he's going to have another holiday up in trap 5 going up strongly. And I talk about these inside seeds and middle seeds and whatnot. If another holiday was mine, he would never wear an inside seed. He'd be middle seed every day of the week because he does tend to stay to the middle of the track, certainly around the opening corner. And if Clonbrine Treaty doesn't clear him by the corner, he could be in a spot of bother. I think Swords Rex should be odds on in this contest.
I'd have it closer to Clonbrine Treaty. I'd be siding with Clonbrine Treaty. If Clonbrine Treaty is second favourite, I'd be really interested in backing him. I think I don't like using the word certainty, but he's going to clear another holiday to the bend. If he traps the same way he did on Saturday night.
I know, but Mike, but you said the word if there. Whereas we know what Swords Rex is going to do at boxes, and we know what another holiday will probably do at boxes. We haven't a bloody clue what Clonbrine Treaty will do at boxes.
The two wide runners in the left in the ledger have had unhindered races in their third round quarterfinals. They were untouched. Clonbrine Treaty is only half a length behind Swords Rex on the clock. I think it's going to be a lot closer than you're making out.
Yeah, but you said it, like Clonbrine Treaty 5:26. What has he done the previous rounds? Like I'd say he'd struggled to get within a length and a half of that.
5:39 he did in the second round.
And that's his start. Like the other night was a freakish start by Clonbrine Treaty standards, and the fact that one or two of the early pacers on the inside completely missed it. Perhaps there was movement in the boxes. Like that's the sort of thing you have to keep into account. I wouldn't have minded talking to someone that was on the ground down by the traps and see what happened, because that wasn't a Clonbrine Treaty like start, and that's something we have to point out, because if you're looking for winners, like it makes a big difference.
Yeah, I think it's only his 25th race. Remember, there's still possible improvement from the traps and possible improvement on the clock. I'd be really keen on Clonbrine Treaty in that first semi-final.
Tommy,
did they use the same traps for 600 yards in Limerick as they do for 550?
Off the top of my head, I couldn't tell you.
How many winning? Depends on how many winning lines they have.
Yeah, they have. They have 2 winning lines, don't they?
Maybe not so.
I think they do. Like 37 full field races in Limerick over 600 yards this year. Percentage of winners in trap 1, 5.
5%.
14 for trap 2, 35 for trap 3, 14, 16, 16. There is
a second winning line, and it's 50 yards. I would say it's probably the same box as the 550.
It's the same boxes. 5% on 37 full field races over 600 yards. Like this, the box is difficult. I'm not saying the dog can't overcome it. He's already done 29-27 out of it, so he's just stupid to think he couldn't. But this is a deeper race. Like, you have to take it into account to some degree. I mean, like I'd be with Mike. I won't be surprised if he does a track record from the big box. He was probably within a spot. Was it within a spot? Was it when he was in trap 1 that time? But this is a much deeper race. He just can't afford anything to go wrong early. Clonbrine Treaty is a serious dog going in the right direction, who's definitely on the improve for this through this competition. He's definitely got the right profile. Swords Rex, we know what he can do. I would look at. It's down to prices. If it's a 5 to 4 each or 2, you take a chance on Swords Rex. But if they're going 4 to 5 Swords Rex, like you think they probably should, and they're going 9 to 4 Clonbrine Treaty, you have to back Clonbrine Treaty, in my opinion.
Yeah, it'd be a unique double, wouldn't it? Kirby Ledger, has that been done yet? I don't think so, is it?
No, I don't think so. No, I don't think so. Swords Rex will be 8 to 11, and he's in and around 8 to 1 on to lead traps 2, 3, and 4. And that's the key to it. Yeah. Whereas Clonbrine Treaty,
you're just making things up now.
Clonbrine Treaty has to lead another holiday. Swords Rex doesn't necessarily have to lead another holiday. He's absolutely.
Oh my God, he does. He does, because I tell you what, if he gets held up at all, this is a proper race. Like, this is a.
But he's not going to get held up.
Like,
he's not going to, like, another holiday stay middle of track. Like, if he's a length behind another holiday at the opening corner, he's 2 in front of him off the second bend. That's the way I see it.
So you seeing Swords Rex clear by the first bend of Clonbrine Treaty?
If not, he's upsides him. All we know is that we know exactly what Swords Rex is going to do if he's on the inside of 2 dogs. What's Clonbrine Treaty going to do if he's on the outside of 2 dogs? Tommy said it. It's not even just the first bend you have to worry about, it's also the third bend. And as fast as Clonbrine Treaty is, he's not outpacing Swords Rex down the back straight. And even another holiday, he might even outpace.
He did the other day. Because he did 17:04 and Clonbrine and Swords Rex did 17:05. And you're talking about what was the Swords Rex did early?
5:20,
21. And what did Clonbrine Treaty do?
5:26.
So it's
there you
one
go.
length. Yeah, it's one length.
6.
I'm just saying it. I think Swords Rex an absolute certainty. I think an absolute moral, right?
I like
Genuinely, an
Ian,
absolute moral certainty.
I like to hear that. I'm glad you do.
My fear is for Clonbrine Treaty. And I'm a huge fan.
Yes.
You know how big a fan I am. But
No.
I just think the presence of another holiday is major. If another holiday is in trap 2 or 3, I'm not as concerned. But he's out in 5. He's trapping. He's going to trap. And all of a sudden, Clonbrine Tree, he's going to see him on his left. And if he doesn't get by him like he's got by some of the dogs he's been taking on, like another holiday is a seriously talented early pace greyhound. If he doesn't get by him by that opening corner,
on third round,
big trouble for Clonbrine Treaty.
Third round
if he's only third into the backstraight Clonbrine Treaty, he's in trouble. Like Bobsleigh, we haven't mentioned Bobsleigh Dream yet.
No.
Sorry. I don't think Swords Rex is a moral certainty. I think he's a moral certainty to be in front. Okay, and then Bobsleigh Dream arrives out of the clouds. But I'll tell you something, lads. This is an unbelievable race. Like Gaytime Hugo is a dog he was 28.09er in Limerick semi-final to Kirby. He could be 12-1 in this race. Malnabola Una is unbelievably talented. She could be 16-1.
Yeah.
And I was lauding the courage of your conviction, and then you go and switch and say
about Bobsleigh Dream. I bet he's an absolute moral certainty to lead off the second bend.
I think here you go. Here's the funny one. I think Bobsleigh Dream will at least break level.
Oh yeah, she's a good trapper.
With the leaders.
Yeah, she's a good trapper. Her problem is Gaytime Hugo. She has to either slip in behind him or get in front of him, because if he's beside her, she's not going to get the easiest of passages. You know what I mean? It's an intriguing contest. Mike, give us your 1, 2, 3, and then I'll tell you how you're wrong.
I'm fancying Clonbrine Treaty because we haven't even mentioned if there's any crowding inside. There's a lot of similar placed dogs. Clonbrine Treaty is 10 spots faster on the split on Saturday night's form than another holiday. He's going to be gone from another holiday. I would go 6-3-1 trio.
Okay, Tommy.
Actually, look at him. Probably going to go with the same ones, but I do think
the same order.
Dream will. Oh no! So
I want your order. I want your order.
We can have. You can have.
So next week I can just laud it over you both. We'll bring Mike in for a minute or two next week, just so I can tell him I told you. Go on, Tommy.
Yeah, no. So we're 6-1-3.
6-1-3. Wow. Okay, I'm 1-3. I genuinely, I'm worried for Clonbrine Treaty. I really am. I have to say, it's just the makeup of the race. I'm worried from. I could see it being a 1-3-5, 1-3-2, 1-3-4, or a 1-3-6, but I think it'll be 1-3. I'll go 1-3. I'll go 1-3-6. And hope that they're.
Still think, and the beauty of this heat is that I think the Bobsleigh Dream will be overpriced to win the competition because the heat is fraught with danger or quality. I think she'll be overpriced to win the competition. She responds to training. We know that. She responds to work. She responds to
the dog's been out in front of her. I'd say Mustang Jet is still looking around him in the kennel. I know he's a stud duty now, but I'd say every now and again he goes, is that Bobsleigh Dream?
But you actually. But what I mean, obviously, you know what I mean by it. But is that she's a type of a joy to have as a trainer. I would suspect, because if you're getting to the latter stages, you want to just try a little bit extra, give a little bit extra, work a little bit harder, get it really absolutely cherry ripe. I don't think you're going to fear that you're going to push her over the top and that she's just going to be flat. That's not her way. I
would say Pat Buckley probably has more success communicating with Bobsleigh Dream than he does his wife and daughters. You know what I mean? Because they don't listen to him, but Bobsleigh Dream seems to listen to him. He knows her as well as he knows any of his children. That's how well he knows her. I think you're absolutely right. I think she reacts to training, and I'd say at this stage, Pat just knows how to time it to an absolute perfection. Have no fear. I think she'll be in the final. I really do.
I don't. As talented as they are, she won the heat.
As talented as they are, there could be no surprise to anyone if she pipped one of them on the line to win in 29-20. You know what I mean? Yeah. Track record. Moving on to the second heat, Beeper's Lariat, Mr. Chelm, Sober Glory, Trinity Junior, Churchtown Sid, and Music Glide Away. I'll speak first here. I'm going to go with Music Glide Away. I just thought there was enough last week to suggest that he's due a start. Mr. Chelm and Trinity Junior are sort of similar enough in terms of racing style and where they show their pace. And that could be an interesting little battle into the corner because People's Larry can go up reasonably well. Sober Glory just going to have to take a flyer, isn't he? If he doesn't take a flyer, I think he could be in the spot of bother. Churchtown Sid, while he's running very, very well, this is again another step up. I think Music Glideway showed enough in defeat the other night to suggest that he's going to get loose on the outside sooner rather than later. He did in semi-finals at Derby. I'm going to go with Music Glideway. Second spot, I'll go with Mr. Chelm, and then it's a case of between Mr. or Sober Glory or Trinity Junior, maybe Trinity Junior for third. Tommy, go ahead, Mike. Go ahead, Mike.
Sorry, I like Music Glideway purely the fact of what Churchtown Sid did on Saturday night. Went up straight, but cut straight. Of course, the hair at the first bend went straight into the rails. So again, I'm going on about these wide runners getting clear runs around the outside. I think that's a massive factor in that semi-final. I like Beepers Lariat out of one. Mr. Chelm will go up fairly little bit towards the middle. He's definitely stayed middle. He could get a good run up the inside. And then for the rest, I'd probably go 6-1-4, Trinity Junior filling a qualifying spot.
6-1-4, you're going for People's Lariat?
Yeah, to qualify, yeah.
Okay. Tommy, how would you see it?
I fancy Mr. Chelm to win this one. I think he's been it's been brewing up towards something good with him. I think he's been well trained after I think what I think was probably a rush job for the Irish Derby. Mm-hmm. He's had his little bit of time. To me, he's stepping forward. I think he's sharper than he showed on Saturday night. I love this tracking ability. I think he can clear Beepers Lariat. He can more than hold Sober Glory. His concern is his kennel companion in 4, Trinity Junior, has the early pace. He hasn't been absolutely flying out yet. He can do it, but I think Mr. Chelm's on the right side of him. I think he's a tremendously fast dog at his best. I quite fancy him. I think he might even be a bit of a price. For me, it's probably 2-4-6. That 2-6-4, 2-4-6.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, those three. If our respective sixes get in, no matter what way they go, it'd be an unbelievable final. To be honest, there's not a bad final amongst them. We just hope the draw doesn't throw up something ridiculous. Now, there's no dogs diving left and diving right, so in theory, it should work out okay for all parties. With slight sort of slight deviances, but Clonbrine Treaty and Music Glideway, if either of those qualify, the 5 or 6 would be no problem to either of them. Churchtown Sid is the middle seed, and then the remainder, you have a couple that would prefer to be on the inside, and then 1 or 2 of them, like Swords Rex or Another Holiday, certainly wouldn't have a problem in the middle of the track. Neither would Mr. Chelm or even Trinity Junior. Like, I know Trinity Junior is a great record from the red, but he definitely moves off. He's always moved off. I've always said I thought he'd be a middle runner down the line, but anyway, his best runs were done from the inside. He won a Champion Stakes from Trap 1. It's just a remarkably deep 6 or 12, should I say, and it's going to leave just a wonderful, wonderful legendary final for Saturday week. Best of luck to all involved. Tommy?
What I would say is now, like, for all that we've talked about Swords Rex and the potential of Trap 1 being difficult, I mean, I wouldn't want any other dog in Trap 1 in the final. In terms of what I mean by that is I would 100% be against any other dog out of Trap 1. Swords Rex, I know, has the ability to overcome it. But any other dog, the rest of them, I'd be saying, big concern at Trap 1. Big concern.
Yeah. I'm more feared about Trap 1 in different trips, different tracks, but yeah, I'm not overly concerned by the Trap 1 thing at the 550. I gave the reasons earlier on. Again, just give me your likely winner there, Mike, of the whole stake. You're a Clonbrine Treaty man.
Clonbrine Treaty, yeah. I think we've got to mention how clean the racing has been throughout the Ledger, especially the Saturday night. There was no hard luck stories hardly at all. And, Limerick gets some sticks sometimes because of the first bend of that, but it's been absolutely brilliant, clean racing. And hopefully the 2 semi-finals will be as well. Since
they made the adjustments to the track there a couple of years back, it's made a big difference, no question about it. But you're also talking about, like, look at the experience that's on show there. You know what I mean? Like, these aren't fresh young dogs. These are truly experienced, hardened campaigners. They know what their game is about. Yeah, Tommy, what's your winner?
I look at the value would still be with Bobsleigh Dream, I'd imagine. I don't know how prices in front of you. I said the value is still with Bobsleigh Dream, and it's the way I bet.
Yeah, I was going to say it 2 ways. Whatever beat Bobsleigh Dream will win it, or I'll go for Graham Holland. Sort of, he doesn't have a bad hand. He doesn't have a bad hand.
How many has he left? 1, 2, 3.
Well, he's the 2 that he needs to have.
3, yeah, 3, yeah.
No, just an unbelievably strong team. But no, cracking Ledger. Let's get on. The Galway Oaks started on Friday night at Galway, Mike, and some very talented performers in action. And of course, the honour of going fastest went to Drubby's Mandolin. She's looked a real prospect thus far in her career. She hasn't suffered too many defeats. She was a bit unlucky in the UK Oaks over there. She was knocked out when favourite ahead of the semi-finals. It just didn't happen for him on that night, but returned the other night to Galway, 28-49. Just a brilliant performance by a very talented young lady.
Yeah, Pat Buckley had a double on the night, of which Droopy's Madeline was one. Very impressive.
No, Droopy's Madeleine's Robert Gleeson.
Sorry, I got the wrong way around. Sorry. And Sing Long Dolly was the other winner. She was a bit back on the clock there. 28-6-1 as opposed to. I've got Droopy's Madeline 28-39. I must have written that down wrong. But
it's 28-49 minus 10. That minus 10 is a grading tool, Mike. We do not refer to minus numbers in this podcast. I refuse to do it. I refuse to write it. I refuse to acknowledge it. It is a grading tool. She did 28-49 on the clock. Okay,
and there was an interesting heat, the fourth heat. Pat Buckley's litter sisters, Glencar Martha and Glencar Jasmine, finished first and second, 28-53, length and a half, which is a fairly unique result. That was the double I was talking about, Sing Long Dolly and the Glencar Martha. So that was pretty interesting, but it looks quite a fairly hot kind of competition.
Yeah, good competition, Tommy. We've been saying it for a few years now. The strength of our bitches in Ireland is just frightening. This time last year, Raha Mofo tore it up in the opening round of Galway Oaks, and she went on to win it. What a special star she was. Droopy's Mandolin's the type that could really sort of fit into that niche. She's a potential Oaks winner next year, no question about it.
Yeah, there was something about that performance last year by Raha Mofo that was a bit special. Actually, just she seemed to really love the track and just actually it was quality start finish. Isn't Glengar Martha a brilliant bitch? Like, she might just fall a little bit shy when it comes to the real big stakes or whatever, but in big stakes she's still a danger in early rounds of competition because she has that ability. She's a terrific bitch. I'd love to see her win something like this because I think she deserves something like that. Now it's going to be tough. Sing Long Dolly is going the right direction, and Droopy's Mandolin is obviously extremely smart, and she's only a September, still relatively young. She's a great record, so I don't know. It'd be hard enough to beat Droopy's Mandolin, but I like Glengar Martha as a bitch. She can lead. She doesn't tend to lead. Maybe against bitches she can lead a little bit more often, but she's a powerful bitch, and I think she won heats of the Laurels and every sort of competition. I'd say she won heats of the Unraced this year early in the year, and
well, she won a heat of the Derby at 28-1. And that night she beat Droopy's nice one, Deladdy Da, Balnabola Ed, Firetime, not what the news, you know what I mean? Wow. But I was about to say, isn't it remarkable how often she doesn't start favourite? For all that she's often the best in the race, she doesn't start favourite. She's just one of those that just tends to get overlooked. Now, don't get me wrong, like, she's not overly prolific. Like, she wins her fair share. But by God, if you give her the right sort of conditions, she'll run a hell of a race for you. She's been remarkable. Yeah, she was very close to reaching the final of the Laurels, as you said, Tom. She's knocked out in the semi-finals, but yeah, just a cracking little lady. But Droopy's Mandolin is a potential star. Worth pointing out that her brother, Droopy's Flightline, trialled at Shelbourne Park the other evening. Obviously looking to get him back for the Winter Racing Festival. Didn't take off for anything like it, but he's probably been on his bench since he won the Juvenile Derby. So it's worth keeping in mind. It's that time of the year. They're starting to posture at Shelbourne Park ahead of the Winter Racing Festival. Before we move on, Sing Long Dolly, as you said, Mike, 28-71, Newport Pier 28-66, and Glengar Martha 28-63. But the standard bearer there was Droopy's Mandolin. Worth keeping an eye on the Galway Oaks. It's a cracking competition this year, sponsored by Fonez. Great to see another outside sponsor. We've alluded to that over the last few weeks, Tommy. Great to see them involved. Now let's get to the action from Shelbourne Park. Some great racing at Shelbourne Park on Saturday night. There was no sweepstakes, there was no classics. It was just one-off races, but it was overall distances, 10 open races, 1A1 contest, and just from the start, it was unbelievable. Balnakill Alf, Tommy, we saw him on Laurel's final night. I think he's really getting to grips with the sprinting game. You mentioned Trap 1. Trap 1 in the sprint in Shelbourne Park is not where you want to be. He gave him 2.5 lengths to the boxes. He absolutely rocketed into the corner to win an 18.52. If they stick him in Trap 3 in the Winter Racing Festival, I don't care what he's up against. He'll be carrying my money. Foxmouth Lock won well over my man Sam ran well. Miami King is a really developing young greyhound. Groves Zenyatta was a somewhat surprise winner of the 750, although she's now 2 from 2 over the 6 bend. She ran well. Ballymacwhisper left herself too much to do, as did Peter Sidney. They both ran on very, very strongly. Aren't we all as a real progressive type for David Murray? 28-37. Crafty Supremo won well. Boyle Sports Coco, our old friend Tommy, got off the front 28-58 for the 5.25. She's back to 4 bends. Romeo Kingpin made a start. We didn't see that down the Bartley. He won it down there despite making slow starts. He made a start tonight. Surprised by the clock. I thought he'd do faster than 28.66. In the last race, won by Optic Chico over 600 yards, 32.33. They were the big two runs, Optic Chico and Balnakill Alf. Lots to look forward to in the coming weeks at Shelbourne Park, Tommy. Did you catch up with the results from Saturday?
I did. I had a look at them. Ballinkill Alpha is the one that interests me, obviously, because we're thinking about what he might be next year. I like the way he drove into the bend. I know now it looked like the dog in two was kind of just maybe three edging out slightly.
It's Coney Vulcan, yeah.
Just edging out a bit and leaving a little bit of a gap. But you could actually watch. It looks like he's kind of trying to grip the sand a little bit, the winner. As he gets through, because it is kind of tight, and you prefer a better racing line, maybe meeting it, because he's going so hard, because he was very slow at traps. I mean, it's not what you call, like, you don't expect the dog to do 18.52 when he walks out like that. I mean, it's obviously tremendous ability. Again, I'd be like you. I'd like to see him in the middle.
Yeah, same as me. And Optic Chico, he doesn't win all that often. It was his first win since July, but we've known how unbelievably talented he is. Just got the corner, that was the key. But I think the big run in defeat was by Ballymackaty on the night. She was probably 16 lengths behind. She's beaten 2. She's clear to the escape. I think she'll be a nice stayer. Have we mentioned that before?
Will she be posturing for something?
I would suggest the fact that they ran over the 600 yards, it wouldn't be missed on Liam Dowling. That's the long run to the corner. I would suggest they're going down the 850 route rather than 750 route, Michael.
Yeah, I didn't get to see much of the Dublin race because I was commentating on Saturday night, but that did catch my eye. I saw her making a lot of ground up down the back straight. So yeah, one for the notebook.
Yeah,
you'd like her to be in trap 1, wouldn't you?
Oh, she's an absolute dead rare. Oh my God. Over any distance further than 600 yards, if she's on the fence and she's left the seam, I'm not sure there's anything can hold her. She's just awesome. Like, when in hindsight, Jack Tavern-Bella ran an unbelievable race to finish as close as she did to her in that match.
She did, yeah.
It was just phenomenal. Absolutely. She has an engine. It's unbelievable. And obviously the whole litter are very, very fast. Her 2 comrades won over 6 bends in the UK over the weekend, Ballymac Taylor and our old pal Hackett Carlow, who ran a remarkable race at Oxford on Friday night. So there's just a remarkably strong staying litter. And yeah, this Ballymackaty is something special. I would suggest that Liam will be on the boat with her next year. I can't imagine how they couldn't challenge for the likes of a TV trophy and maybe 1 or 2 of the other valuable marathons across the water, because it's going to come down to herself and her sister, Ballymac Taylor. They're 2 very, very strong stayers. Clonmel on Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening, the Munster Juvenile Cup semi-finals were on, sponsored, of course, by the Riverside Stud. And given that it's sponsored by the Riverside Stud, it's pretty fitting that Graham Holland, should I say, had both heat winners. Fate Point Harvey was a good winner of the opening heat. Mike Quickway always led. He's from a very fast family, wins by 6 lengths in 28.41. And Annual Coco led on the opening corner after that stunning run the previous round. She clocked 28.55 on this occasion. It's turned into a nice competition. It's produced plenty of good ones in the past.
Yeah, it was the Graham Holland show, as you said. He had the first, second, and third in the second heat with Annual Coco. Fate Point Harvey was the more impressive of the 2 winners. Kind of level bait, it was even money going to traps, and showed great determination and good track to get around. There was a bit of crowding at the first bend, and never looked in doubt after that. Won by 6 lengths. The other semi-final was a 4-length winner for Annual Coco. Crowding led at the first bend, very similar to Fate Point Harvey's kind of win, a similar kind of style kind of win. Both did, but I'd imagine Fate Point Harvey would be the one to beat in that.
Yeah, Graham has just the 4 in the final. For 4 in the final. His Annual Coco in 1. Fate Point Harvey's in 4 as an inside seed. UN DJ's in 5, and Fate Point Sean is out in trap 6 as a middle seed. The 2 taking them on are the Black Swallow for Mert Lahey and Honey Bunny for David and Michael Power. All evidence would suggest that Graham is going to win it. Annual Coco is well housed in the fence if she traps on terms. She's a very fast lady, clearly. She's very progressive. She's won 4 of her 9, 28.08, estimated 28.18 in the previous round. An 18.67 trial at Shelbourne Park over the 350 prior to that would suggest she has plenty of ability. Tommy, there's no sign to the stopping of the Graham Holland train.
No, to draw be important in that final, because I was thinking, look at the Fair Point Harvey, and it looks to me that he's extremely green. Even when he was drawing the rails, he seemed to rub the rails at the first bend and kind of moved off. But did the same thing from trap two and his run before that. It's only had the 4 runs in total. Um, might just struggle at this stage of his career to cope with trap four, I think you said. Um, but what a fine prospect though. I think he's going to be. He looks a proper prospect. I think it's just, to my mind at the moment, I just have a worry about inexperience might just beat him. But I think he's the one I'd be taking out of the competition.
Great to see. Great to see the Flanagans with a good one again. You know, the Fate Point people, they're in greyhounds a long time, and they've had some fast dogs in the past, but over the last sort of year or two, they've really been putting some money into the game, and it'd be great to see them with a real star.
That was Faye Point Sean's first taste of defeat. He'd run 6 from 6, and just on previous form, he looks to be a bit quicker than his little brother Faye Point Harvey. So maybe he can bounce back and make it 7 from 8.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know which one I choose. I think like it was Faye Point Harvey's second race when he got picked up that night. He's entitled to improve considerably.
He'd been on a break from his debut. He'd done 28-39 in debut and had been off for about 3 months or so, or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And the brother had run about a week or about a month or a month and a half later than him, so he had a little bit maybe a little bit of a fitness edge. The two of them were pulling clear nicely. I thought it was a lovely run from both of them that night. So
yeah,
I'm slightly favourite Harvey myself.
Yeah, I'm just checking something. Yeah, this is the second litter. Roaming Shari. The first litter produced some very talented dogs, but one in particular who hasn't appeared since. Kieran Lynch trainer, and Tommy, you know the dog I'm probably talking about. Roaming Turbo. He did a 28.56 in Cork in his second race, but like if you look back at it, he just looked like he had the world at his feet. He qualified in 28.18 around there. Doug showed unbelievable pace. He last race in January 7th of 2023. He was a dog I put up for this year as my dog to follow with the Racing Post, and sadly never appeared. Obviously a dog with issues. He trialled in April, he trialled in July, but no mark on his card since then. Just a shame. Looked an absolute star in the making for Fintan Lawler and Owen Ivers. But obviously the second litter, repeat mating to Droopy Sydney, are very talented. And Faye Point Sean and Faye Point Harvey flying the flag for their dam. Gentlemen, that's pretty much it. Just one more thing to mention. By the time you're watching this, Clona Duke and Bocco's Crystal probably have already raced at Nottingham. They're racing tonight in the Eclipse. And best of luck to both. Clona Duke has already won the select stakes around Nottingham, so he is the clear favourite for outright glory. And hopefully we'll be talking about them next week and looking ahead to their potential success in the final the following week. But no, best of luck to all involved. But that's it. We have a wonderful semi-final, 2 semi-finals, shall I say, of the willwego.com Irish St. Leisure to look forward to on Saturday night. Great racing expected at Shelbourne Park again, as more posturing goes on, people trying to get into the various races for the Winter Racing Festival. And of course, that Galway Oaks, it's a spectacular competition down there. Make sure you get to Galway if you can. It's well worth your while. But that's it from me on this Monday evening. My thanks again to Mike Flaherty and to the exiled dub Tommy Lyons. Great nights, great hours chat, I believe. And I can't wait to be proven right next week when Swords Rex takes a flyer and absolutely comes home bingo bashing in front. Tommy, anything else to add?
No, the trumpet will be out in force next week.
It's there. It's waiting. Mike.
All good. Thanks for the chat, guys.
All good. Mike's off to the golf course. He's going to leave the umbrella in the bag, because if he lifts it off, it'll be like Mary Poppins. He'd be taking it off. Such is the wind out there. But that's it from us on this Monday evening. We'll see you next time. Good luck. Good evening. God bless.